Premanandi. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Let's say these together, please. Rayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayam mudirayat. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances unto the personality of Godhead, Narayan, unto Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta Praishwabhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttamasvote Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. By regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam, and by rendering of service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving service unto the personality of Godhead, which pays with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. Okay. Om Jnana Timirandasya Yananjana Salakaya Chakshurumilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkest ignorance, and my spiritual master opened my eyes with the torch of knowledge, and I offer my respectful obeisances unto him. Mukam Karati. What's that? Okay. Sorry, just reading off the sheet. This is Mukam Karati Vachalam Pangum Laghayate Girim Yatkripa Tamaham Bande Shri Gurum Dina Taranam. I offer my respectful obeisances unto my spiritual master, the deliverer of the fallen souls. His mercy turns the dumb into eloquent speakers and enables the lame to cross mountains. We're reading this morning. We're finishing chapter 14 of the 10th canto. What is the subject of chapter 14 of the 10th canto? Brahma's prayer. Oh, you were looking. Brahma's prayers, yes. This is, of course, I'm sure you've heard many times, this is the first chapter translated by Srila Prabhupada's disciples. So the translations and commentaries are by them. Sridananda Maharaj, Gopi Pranadana Prabhu, and Dravina Prabhu. So we're doing text 56 to 50, to the end of the chapter, I understand, correct? Okay. So why don't we just, how do you do this usually? You take turns? Back and forth? Okay, so, gentlemen?
Text 56. Those in this world who understand Lord Krishna as he is, see all things. Okay, let me try. Those in this world who understand Lord Krishna as he is, see all things, whether stationary or moving, as manifest forms of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Such enlightened persons recognize no reality apart from the Supreme Lord.
Okay, thank you. Short commentary on this. Does anyone remember a verse from Bhagavad Gita that rephrases the same statement? One who sees me everywhere and everything in me. For him, I'm never lost to him, nor is he lost to me. So, no reality apart from the Supreme Lord Shri Krishna. Everything is just a manifestation of Krishna's energy. We spirit souls are a manifestation. Our bodies are a manifestation. Everything around us is a manifestation. All other people are manifestation. All manifestations of Krishna's energy. That's the vision that develops over years of practicing Krishna consciousness. More and more we realize that no mountain, no car, no airplane, no food, nothing. Everything is Krishna's energy. And therefore the devotee's business is what? Since everything is Krishna's energy, what is our?
To use it in Krishna's service.
To use everything in Krishna's service, that's right. The devotee just goes through the world turning the material energy, which appears to be separate from Krishna, into Krishna's service. There's also one important verse from the second canto of Srimad Bhagavatam in this regard. It's from the Chatur Shloki of Srimad Bhagavatam. Anyone remember this? Have you studied this? This is so the 4 essential seed verses of Srimad Bhagavatam are spoken after Lord Brahma concludes his long meditation at the creation of the universe. And he has beautiful darshan of Lord Krishna. Then Lord Krishna comes over and shakes his hand and speaks these 4 seed verses. So one of them is Ritevritam tad pratiyeta na pratiyeta chatmani. Whatever you may see in this world, if it appears to have no relationship with me, know that to be my illusory energy. Okay. All right, next verse.
The original unmanifested form of material nature is the source of all material things. And the source of even that subtle material nature is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. What then could one aspire to be separate from him?
Right. What is the name of the original unmanifested form of material nature? What is that called? Mahatattva, or another word? Pradhana. Right, the unmanifested, pradhan, specifically unmanifested. So imagine if you have a box of Legos. There's a box in the shelf, then you pull it out and you make your creation, and then you take it down and put it back in the box. This is how material nature is manifesting and unmanifest. Like we were talking about last night, the Big Bang, and then the Big Crunch. And then the Big Bang and the Big Crunch. There are 5 subject matters in Bhagavad Gita. What's the first one?
Creation.
God, yes. Ishvara. Ishvara. Second? Jiva, right? The soul. And third? It comes a little later. It's too early. Right, Prakriti, material energy. And then, what is the interaction between the jiva soul and the material energy? Karma. And then finally, time at the end, yes. So this material energy that in its unmanifested form is dormant until it is impregnated by the glance of the Lord with the living entities, who then manifest it in various ways for some period of time. And then at the end of Brahma's day, it's all unmanifest again. So ultimately, the inhalation of Mahavishnu. But when we count the material elements, remember there's Bhumir Apo Nalo Vayu Kam Mano Buddhir Evacha, these 8 gross and subtle elements. What are the other components of the material nature as explained several places in the Bhagavatam? There's 24 altogether. So we just named 8. What are the others?
The senses.
The senses, the 5 senses, right?
Sense objects.
Oh, excuse me, there's 10 senses altogether, right? Yes, there's 5 working senses, perceiving senses, the 5 perceptive senses, eyes, ears, and so forth. And then there's 5 working senses, arms and legs, and so forth. So 10 senses, 8 elements, then?
Sense objects.
And the objects of the senses, yes. Sound, taste, touch, sight, the objects of the senses. So that makes 23. And then the 24th is this pradhan, the unmanifested material element. Of course, there are various divisions, but this is the one that Prabhupada mentioned several places, that the pradhan is considered one of the elements, unmanifested. So here Brahma is saying, since this unmanifested form of material nature is the source of all material things, and the source even of that subtle material nature is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, then what could one ascertain to be separate from him? There's nothing that is separate from Krishna. It's just how conscious of Krishna are we. Then if we're conscious of Krishna, we see nothing but Krishna everywhere. Wouldn't that be nice? Even pleasant, unpleasant things, it is coming from Krishna. Even this person you don't like, well, this person is also coming from Krishna. This person is somehow dear to Krishna, even though I can barely tolerate him. All right, text 58.
For those who have accepted the abode of the lotus feet of the Lord, who is the shelter of cosmic manifestation, and is famous as Murari, the enemy of the Mura demon, the ocean of the material world is like the water contained in a calf's hoof print. The goal is Param, Vaikuntha, the place where there are no material miseries, not the place where there is danger at every step.
Right, so we'll come back and do that verse in detail. Next, 59.
Since you inquired for me, I have fully described to you those activities of Lord Hari that were performed in this good year, but not celebrated in this.
Good. And finally, let's see, text 60.
Any person who hears or chants these constants Lord Murari performed with his comrade friends, the killing of Agasura, the taking of lunch on the forest grass, the Lord's manifestation of transcendental forms, and the wonderful prayers offered by Lord Brahma, is sure to achieve all his spiritual desires.
Okay. I know. I just wanted to just comment briefly about this, these two verses. So why did we have this discussion in the first place? What was the question that led up to this? The question by Maharaj Parikshit. What did he ask in the previous chapters? Do you remember?
Something related to like how 1 year passed.
Yes. 1 year passed after what? After Agasura was killed, yes. A year passed, and nobody in the village knew about it. Nobody knew. There was this giant snake, but nobody knew what had happened. And Parikshit Maharaj asked, how is that possible, that such a big event would not be known? And so in response, Shukadev explained this whole pastime. And he was very pleased by that question. He was acknowledging that now you're taking a genuine interest in trying to understand the intricacies of this. So then we get this Palashruti in verse 60. What is a Palashruti? You know this?
Achieves all spiritual desires.
Yes, but what is the concept of a Palashruti?
Palashruti is like the fruit of hearing.
Yeah. Pala is fruit and Shruti is hearing. Yeah, the fruit of hearing. So the Puranas often have these Palashrutis, these blessings that are given. If you hear a certain pastime or if you observe a certain vow, and you do that and you'll get a benefit. And they're often material things like, well, you'll conquer your enemies, right? So this verse says, Akila artan, all desirable things you will get from hearing this. And the translators have added, it is sure to achieve all his spiritual desires. Just to clarify, just to be sure. Because after all, dharmasya yapavargasya, spirituality should never be performed for some kind of return. And that's pretty much religion, isn't it? This, people are religious in order to get some kind of material benefit. People who are in distress pray very fervently to God, right? Like there's a man who's trying to find a parking place. He's circling around. Finally, he began praying, God, please send me a parking place, please. I promise I'll go to church and tithe. I promise, please give me a parking. All of a sudden, the car pulled out in front of him, and he said, oh, never mind. I got what I want. Now I don't need God anymore. So this is the problem with spirituality performed for material benefit. All right, the last Last verse, 61.
In this way, the boys spent their childhood in the land of Vrindavan, playing hide and go seek, building clay bridges, jumping about like monkeys, and engaging in many other such games.
Got it. So, let's go back to text 58, please. We'll do that in depth. I think this is the verse that Srila Prabhupada quoted to John Lennon, the musician. I believe this is the one. It's in the book on Chant and Be Happy. Yeah. You have a copy? Oh, let's confirm. I think this is the one he quoted. Anyone remember? So John Lennon, the musician, why don't you just look up and see if you find this verse. John Lennon, the famous musician, was talking with Prabhupada and said, he said, yes, the Vedas are very musical. And then he began quoting an elaborate Sanskrit verse, which I believe is this one, but I may be wrong. I'm just trying to confirm my memory here. Anyway, we'll chant it. It's a very beautiful and melodious and poetic composition. Samasritaye padapalava plavam Mahatpadam punya yasho murare Bhavam budhir vatsa padam param padam 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 yadvi padam natesham Samasritaye padapalava plavam Mahatpadam punya yasho murare Bhavam budhir vatsa padam param padam 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 yadvi padam natesham. Please chant. Samasritaye Mahatpadam yasho murare
Avam budhir vatsa padam param padam
Bhavam budhir vatsa param padam 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 yadi padam natesham Samasritaye padapallavam plavam Mahatpadam punya yasho murare Budhir vatsa padam param padam 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 yadi padam natesham Samasritaye padapallavam plavam Mahatpadam punya yasho murare Param budhir vatsa padam param padam 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 yadi padam natesham Samasritaye padapallavam plavam Mahatpadam punya yasho murare Bhavam budhir param padam 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 yadi padam natesham. A lot of padas in there, right? It's a good verse for Bhakti Marg Maharaj. Let's say the synonyms together, please. Samasrita, having taken shelter. Yea, those who. Pada, of the feet. Pallava, like flower buds. Plavam, which are a boat. Mahat, of the total material creation, or of the great souls. Padam, the shelter. Punya, supremely pious. Yasha, whose fame, Murari, of the enemy of the demon Mura, Bhava, of the material existence, Ambudhi, the ocean, Patsapadam, the movement of a calf, Rampadam, the supreme abode, Kunta, Padam Padam, at every step, yet where Vipadam of material miseries, none, Tesham, for them. Together, translation, please. For those who have accepted the boat of the lotus feet of the Lord, who is the shelter of the cosmic manifestation and is famous as Murari, the enemy of the Mura demon, the ocean of the material world is like the water contained in a calf's hoofprint. Their goal is Parampadam Vaikuntha, the place where there are no material miseries, not the place where there is danger every step. Purport. This translation is taken from Srila Prabhupada's commentary in the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2, text 51. According to Srila Sridhar Swami, this verse summarizes the knowledge presented in this section of Srimad Bhagavatam. Lord Krishna's lotus feet are described as pallava, flower buds, because they are most tender and of a pinkish hue. According to Srila Sanatana Goswami, the word pallava also indicates that Lord Krishna's lotus feet are like desire trees, which can fulfill all the desires of the Lord's pure devotees. Even exalted devotees like Sri Narada, who are themselves the great shelter for the conditioned souls of this universe, personally take shelter of the lotus feet of Lord Sri Krishna. Thus it is natural that when Lord Krishna manifested himself as all the young boys and calves of Vrindavana, their parents were more attracted to them than previously. Lord Krishna is the reservoir of all pleasure, and being all attractive, the ultimate object of everyone's love. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So how does this verse summarize all the knowledge in this section of Srimad Bhagavatam? And which section is Srila Sridhar Swami referring to? Any thoughts on this? Scroll up a bit. Yeah, right to the first line there. This verse summarizes all the pastimes in this section of Srimad Bhagavatam, the knowledge. What do you think he's referring to? Any ideas?
This particular pastime of Lord Brahma stealing the cows.
Could be this particular pastime of Lord Brahma stealing the cows, because the cowherd men and women and the cows were more interested in Krishna's manifested replicas of their original children. Okay, so we could say that it is the Parampadam, the goal of Krishna, is more accessible to them because Krishna is personally there in disguise before them. It's, by the way, during this time, you may have heard this, that the cowherd girls were all betrothed at that age, in that society. The young girls were betrothed to young boys at this age. So that year, when all the cowherd boys were asleep and Krishna was taking their place, all the gopis were betrothed because they all wanted to marry Krishna. And so they all got their wish fulfilled. And then later, the originals came back and they were stuck with them. Okay, so perhaps it refers to this chapter. What else might it refer to? Again, the verse is saying that one who takes shelter of Krishna's lotus feet is able to cross over this world of material difficulties. Could we say it stretches all the way back to the first chapter? First chapter of the 10th canto, what do we find immediately? Great distress. Earth is distressed. And Earth goes to, Mother Earth ultimately goes to Lord Vishnu, who says, don't worry, Krishna will be coming. And then Krishna appears in a very compromised situation. You would think he'd make a very grand entrance, right? But no, he's born in a jail. Have you heard the story about Malati and Shyamasundar Prabhu? They were early disciples of Srila Prabhupada in San Francisco. So after they met, Srila Prabhupada became enthusiastic devotees, they were sentenced to go to jail for a previous drug-related offense. They were awaiting their sentencing when they met Srila Prabhupada. So they came to him and said, so Prabhupada, we have to go to jail. And he said, that is all right, Krishna was born in a jail. And then he asked, what for? And they said, we were selling drugs. And Prabhupada said, oh, I used to sell drugs. He was a pharmacist, or sold pharmaceuticals. So, miraculously, he went to jail, and just within a few days their sentence was commuted for no reason. They were released. So, the main thrust of this verse, taking shelter of Krishna's lotus feet. Why all this obsession with feet? Padam padam yadvi padam natesham, param padam, vatsa padam, param padam, padam padam. Any ideas? Why are we always talking about the lotus feet of great personalities? We sing, Shri Guru Charana Padma, Kevala Bhakati Sadma. The abode of devotional service is the lotus feet of the Guru.
It's a sign of humbleness.
Yeah, how so?
The lowest part of the body.
Lowest part of the body, yes. We dare not look in the eyes and the face. We look at the feet. This is what introverted people tend to do, isn't it? Somebody's shy, they're talking to you, they're looking at their feet. It said that the Finnish people are particularly known for being introverted. So it said that an extroverted Finn is a person who looks at your feet while they're talking to you. So it's when the gopis were going out to see Krishna, and Krishna's out there playing his flute in the night, and the gopis all come running, and then Krishna says, "Oh, what are you doing here?" And they said, "Well, we came to see you." And he said, "Oh, it's very dangerous out here in the woods. You should go back home." So they all started looking at their feet, toeing the ground. They didn't want to look at Krishna and tell him no. But then eventually they had to express, we left our family, we got all this social ostracization, and now you're going to send us back? We left for you and you're going to send us back. And they did not accept that decision. Krishna said, all right. So looking at the feet is an expression of humility or maybe self-consciousness in these cases. Or just some reserved, it's a reserved approach to a person. If you walk right up to a person, shake her, put her there. It's like Americans do. What is that expression? Somebody is in your face, right? In your grill. If your boss or your parents or somebody, your friend is like on your case, they look at you in the face. No, it's not at all. It's just the opposite of a humble approach. Now look. So, this is one reason we start at the feet. What are some other reasons?
As according to Sri Sanatana Goswami, the word Pallava also indicates that Lord Krishna's lotus feet are just like designers.
Yeah, yes, they're alone, they are the abode of everything we might want. So why go any further? It's like Amazon. You get everything on Amazon, why bundle up and go out to the store? So yes, Krishna's lotus feet have these auspicious markings on the bottom. They are like the lotus flowers, they're like desire trees. If we can approach the lotus feet of Krishna, then there's nothing else to be desired in this world. When Srila Prabhupada was in India for first or second time with his young Western disciples. They were touring, and the devotees had never seen anything like this before. But Prabhupada was speaking before a large audience, and afterwards he was going out to the car through the audience, and everyone wanted to touch his feet. And so the disciples were like a football scrum, they're a rugby scrum. They were just made a circle around Prabhupada to try to keep people back. And Prabhupada said that they want to touch my feet because I am free of sex desire. This is why they want to touch my feet. So the sadhu does not like to have the foot touched. Why is that?
Because he has to take on the sins of it.
Yes, all the sins are transferred. So this is a very lazy way of purification, right? Let me just touch the feet of the sadhu and then all my sins will go. And I can start fresh. When Ganga was being beckoned to deliver the descendants of Sagar, who had offended Lord Kapila Dev, she said, "No, I don't want to come to this earth because everyone will bathe in me and dump all their sins in me." And she was persuaded that no, the saintly persons will come there and they will absorb these sins. So what does this mean? To take somebody's sin. In the Christian religion in which I was born, there was a lot of, born and raised, there was a lot of emphasis on this. Jesus will take your sins. You just have to believe, and Jesus will take your sins. And so it's like a great way to become free of suffering. You just whatever I've done wrong in the past, Jesus is going to take care of it. And there's very little mention about what happens after that. You just believe. Basically, if I might just be blunt, in modern Christianity, if a man and woman stay married, they are considered great sadhus. It's a great accomplishment. Simply stay married. One of the reasons that divorce is much more common in the West is because people think they are their bodies. They think this one life is all there is. Whereas a more enlightened culture has an understanding of, like this poster says about reincarnation, that there are many lives. And so the ability to endure is much greater because one knows, well, this is not everything that I'm ever going to experience. If there's some unpleasantness or unhappiness or suffering, I can endure it. I can tolerate it because it's just going to happen again. This is not my only time around. This is not, as they say, my only bite at the apple. So the idea of transferring one's sins by touching the feet of a saintly person, it doesn't stop there, even if one is so fortunate. Even if one is so fortunate to touch the feet of a saintly person, maybe there's some transmittal of sin, but if the sins continue, then the sadhu is not responsible for what we do after that. See? Just this lazy kind of dumping idea. When I used to sell books on Sankirtan, sometimes we'd run into our Christian friends, and we'd offer them a book, and they'd offer us a little pamphlet. They would have pamphlets. One of the pamphlets was not a pamphlet, but an imitation of a credit card. And it said, "Just charge your sins to Jesus." So that was the appeal. That is the appeal. But what did Jesus himself say? There was an occasion where there was a prostitute who had been caught and the punishment was to be stoned to death. And so the people were gathered around ready to throw their stones, and Jesus intervened and he said, what? Anyone know the famous thing he said?
The first word that stone should be free from all sin.
Yes, let he who is without sin cast the first stone, he said. And so all the people went home. But then he turned to the prostitute and said, what? Now go and sin no more. So they don't get that part. They get the first part. Sadhu will take all of my karma. Very good. But then the sadhu enjoins, now stop creating more karma. I'm giving you a second chance. Now, don't you go back and do the same thing. Does that make sense? Yeah. So, Samashrita ye padapalavam, taking shelter of Krishna's lotus feet, which are compared to this boat that can cross over the ocean of material suffering. In fact, that ocean is reduced to the amount of water in the hoofprint of a calf. Anyone can step over that. So the suffering of this world is really what defines it. Isn't it? In this world, there is nobody gets exempted from the inherent miseries that are baked into the material body. I have a friend who was a pathologist. You know what is a pathologist? They do the autopsies in the hospitals to see what was the cause of death. So there was a mysterious death in the hospital, and they called my friend to a board of doctors to explain this mysterious death. So my friend, who's a devotee, he was asked, "Doctor, what is the cause of death?" They asked it in kind of a funny way, and so he answered in a funny way. He said, "Cause of death is birth." They did not find it amusing. But it's a fact. The cause of death is birth. And so we are inherently bound to suffer in this world. And that suffering becomes minimized. How does that happen? We see, I see my godbrothers and godsisters getting illnesses associated with old age, cancer, dementia. That's the really heavy one, dementia. Somebody you thought you knew, and they still seem like the same person, but their mind is gradually deteriorating. They call it the long goodbye, or injuries, or the bones become very fragile. Somebody falls and breaks their hips, and they practically can never recover. These miseries you see all happen to devotees too. So what's the difference? We should chant Hare Krishna, and Krishna should just protect us from all of that stuff, but it still happens. So how are we to understand that? What's that? The question is, miseries happen to everybody, including devotees. So if we're taking shelter of Krishna, how are we to understand that? Why these miseries keep happening to devotees?
There was this verse right before this saying that for non-devotees, they're ripping the effects of their karma, but for devotees, Krishna engineers certain kind of plans to help them get rid of their sinful mentality.
Very good. Very good. Yes. This place is not our abode, where we belong. The goal of the devotees is Parampadam, Vaikuntha, where there are no material miseries. Now, isn't it this same kind of thing, though, we're approaching God like with a business proposition? We're approaching Krishna. Okay, Krishna, I'm really tired of the miseries of this world. Please take me out. Is that right? Is that the right consciousness? What do you think? It's not the highest consciousness. But if that's the best we can do, that's good. It's okay. In the Bhagavad Gita, in chapter 15, Krishna describes the supreme abode, and Prabhupada said one should be fascinated by this information. So the idea of a parampadam, a place where there are no miseries, is quite legitimate, and aspiring for it is quite appropriate. It's sane. Right? If you know there's one place you can be where you're just going to suffer, and there's another place where you'll be comfortable, then why would you want to take the uncomfortable place? It's just foolish. So if that is our motivation to be Krishna conscious, that's all right. It's perfectly all right. What happens over time is that motivation evolves and matures so that we just want to please Lord Krishna. Just like in the Shikshastakam, Shikshastakam is beautiful because it's a progressive revelation of devotional service, starting just from awe on the holy name to accessibility and one's own shortcomings in relation to the name, to determination to be more humble so that I can appreciate the name, and then, Nadanam na janam na sundarim. Now, I don't want anything of this world. Mama janmani janmani ishwari, bhavatad bhakti ahoitaki tvai. I just want to serve you life after life. So that's the next step up, you see, right? When I don't care if I stay in this material world as long as I can serve you. In fact, let me stay as Prahlad Maharaj or Haridas Thakur or what was his name? Vasudev, in Lord Chaitanya Lila, he said, let me just stay for as many births as necessary to endure all of the karma for all the living entities in this world. They can all be liberated, and I will stay and suffer all of their karma. I mean, quite an evolution, right? For me, it's like, please, Krishna, let me get out of here. And the older you get, the more fervent that prayer becomes. So our goal being Vaikuntha, a place where there is no material miseries, it's all right. By taking shelter of Krishna's lotus feet, we come to Krishna with a lot of baggage, a lot of karma, and we take shelter of his lotus feet in hopes that he will allow us admittance to the spiritual world. But it doesn't just stop there. And now I believe in Krishna, I'm good. Yeah, I can do anything I want. No, this is why I love Prabhupada's teaching so much, because he gives us this, here's the bottom line, 4 regulative principles. Oh my God, it was such a relief for me when I learned about that. Okay, here's 4 regulative principles and this positive of chanting. And then Prabhupada said if we do these things, we'll go back to Godhead. Just do these things. We may not become ecstatic lovers of Krishna rolling on the ground. We may not feel our horripilation, all the hairs on our body standing on end. Oh, Krishna. We may not feel our voice choking up. Or we may not shed tears. We may shed tears for other things. But not for hearing the holy name. But that's all right. It doesn't matter. If we just follow these initiation vows through our whole life, we can do anything. Just about any profession except butcher. You can do anything for Krishna. You can have a family for Krishna. You can be single for Krishna. Anything that is suitable to your nature. That's the beauty of this great movement. Just as long as we keep these simple prohibitions of things that we cannot offer to Krishna. 4 regulative principles means things you cannot do for Krishna, but everything else you can do. So, all right. What is your question, Damya?
So when you said that it's okay when we pray to Krishna to take us, like, just get me out of this material kind of suffering. So the reason I said no was I was relating it to what impersonalists ask for, because they realize that this place is a place of suffering, and so they want to just get out of the suffering.
Yes.
So they're placed in Brahmajyoti Krishna.
Right. The impersonalists also want to get out of the world of suffering, and if they're successful, they go to the Brahmajyoti. So what is the difference for the devotees saying, I want to get out of this? The difference is methodology, first of all. The impersonalists don't approach Krishna's lotus feet. They just, through their own efforts and austerities. I think we read that earlier in this chapter, right? Aruya Krishna Param Padam Padam Tata Padanti Yaho. They rise up to Brahman, but they can't stay there. Why? Because they haven't taken shelter of Krishna's lotus feet. So it ultimately proves to be a waste of time. But if the sufferings of this world prompt us to take shelter of Krishna's lotus feet, Maya has done her job. And we are responding in an intelligent way. I mean, it's foolish to be suffering and think, I'm all right. Like Prabhupada said about the patient in the hospital, right? They're all laid up in a body cast. Oh, how are you? I'm fine. So we're thinking we're all right. That's what Prabhupada has saved us from. Just thinking this world was all right, or we're getting as much as we could out of it. And when there's so much more a human being can experience in spiritual life. Other thoughts, reflections? Yes, Prabhu.
Question on a lighter note. So if touching someone's feet transfers your sins to them, the culture in India has also developed that you can touch elders' feet for respect. So,
For respect.
out of respect. So is there any Shastric validation for such a custom?
Mm.
And on that note, Prabhu, out of fun here also sometimes feet touching each other's feet. How seriously should we take that joke?
Oh, very serious. No, these are the pastimes of devotees, to take the dust from the feet of devotees. The other thing, the feet are the part of the body that touches the ground, right? And so they are inherently the dirtiest part of the body because they're touching the dirt on the earth. And so to take that dust is a great expression of respect, of appreciation. And so in the beautiful Indian culture, children are trained to touch their parents' feet, right? I have 3 children, and I can honestly say none of them have ever touched my feet. And if they were asked to, they would say, "Ee." And nor did I ever touch my parents' feet. This is kind of Malecha culture, we don't have that ingrained. And it's a beautiful thing, one of the beautiful aspects of Vedic culture, even the remnants that exist in India today. So it's a great thing, it's a great token to touch the feet of the parents, to show respect. It shows honor, it shows culture, it shows humility. And so addressing that same expression towards Krishna is even higher. Thank you. Prabhu?
Prabhu, you were mentioning about the words of Jesus that sin no more now. And then at initiation we also get to know that spiritual master has taken our sin and now we should not sin more. But being a little bit practical, I feel it's almost impossible to not sin. I mean, fully.
Okay, if we define sin as breaking the 4 regulative principles, okay, then if we feel it's impossible not to do that, we probably shouldn't take initiation, right? Okay. See, the spiritual master receives the karma of the disciple at initiation, but then the spiritual master offers that karma to Krishna. Just like the glorification of the spiritual master by the disciple, the spiritual master offers that glorification to his guru and the disciplic succession, ultimately to Krishna. You see, transparent via medium for karma, for praise, that's all. Nobody can absorb those sinful reactions. Only Krishna can liberate the jiva. But through the method of disciplic succession, that karma is offered up. And from that point, Prabhupada said if somebody takes a vow and then they break it, then they're not a gentleman. No gentleman would do that. And at the same time, in this materialistic culture, it's challenging, it's difficult. So if we approach a spiritual master, we ask for shelter, we accept initiation, we vow to follow these principles. If we do service, that service is offered to Krishna through the spiritual master. But if we break those principles, that cannot be offered to Krishna. Spiritual master can't offer that to Krishna. And so the disciple is, in effect, creating this burden upon the spiritual master who took a chance with us, who gave us an opportunity. And then we said, oh, thanks a lot. No, I don't think so. I changed my mind. See? So does that mean the spiritual master has to take birth after birth to atone for his mistake of accepting us? And to my understanding, the answer is no. Otherwise, who would be a spiritual master? You're going to risk your whole spiritual life for somebody who breaks their vow. It is a risk, and there'll be suffering, there'll be some consequence for it. But Prabhupada said that the contract is broken. Somebody takes a vow, but then they break it, then the contract ends there. While the spiritual master never stops caring and praying and hoping the disciple will come back to their senses.
When I was mentioning sin, I mainly meant like different type of offenses we do. Or
Yeah.
sometimes even we start fighting with each other.
Really?
Sometimes.
Right. So this is again why the four regulative principles are such a great benchmark. Because there's so many shortcomings that we have and so many things we'll do wrong and so many offenses we'll make and so many mistakes. But these are not things that will prohibit us from progressing in spiritual life. If we're making offenses to devotees, then things will happen to help educate us to stop doing that. Right? This is listed, remember, in the 10 offenses to the holy name. First offense is to blaspheme devotees. So, if we blaspheme devotees, what happens? We criticize devotees, then we don't feel better. Here's what happens. Let me just tell you. Let's see if you can relate to this. This has been my experience. Maybe this doesn't happen in the far more civilized country of Canada. But in the community, some devotee has an issue with another devotee, so they'll go to a third devotee and tell them what this other devotee has done to that is so wrong. Now this is cloaked in, like, I'm revealing my mind. I need to reveal my mind to this other person. But what is the effect of that? The effect is you're criticizing another devotee, right? So it doesn't cause us to fall down immediately. But if we keep doing it, we will fall down because Krishna will take away the taste, whatever taste we have for devotional service. Because we may be criticizing another devotee, but that devotee is dear to Krishna. So what do we do if somebody comes to us with a litany of complaints about another devotee? What do? They come, Prabhu, could I reveal my mind to you? Blah, 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 blah. This person has done this person, I'm really upset with this person. What do we say?
Have you tried talking to that person?
Have you tried talking to that person? Exactly, yes. The person may or may not accept that, but under any circumstances, what should we not do?
Agree with him?
How is agreement expressed?
Validation.
By what?
By validating their feelings.
Well, okay, you could say validate, oh, you have a right to be angry at this person. Okay. But what does Prabhupada say equals agreement? Silence. Silence means agreement. So if we're listening to somebody criticizing another devotee and we just sit there passively, then we participate in the offense. So, very good suggestion to say, have you talked to the person directly? Because if you talk to other people, you're just making offenses. That's the unspoken part of it. But have you spoken to this person? Generally, people say, no, I'm too uncomfortable to talk to them. This is a big cop-out and a big excuse. We have to be able to have difficult conversations. If we take our criticism of someone to another devotee, we're committing an offense. Will that stop us from going back to Godhead? Not necessarily, but it may erode our tastes and therefore lead us to break the regulative principles. Okay. So we should never listen to blasphemy because it just invites corruption into our hearts. Okay? And if we have, yeah, we're human beings, so we'll have differences of opinion, so we have to be able to express them. But you can express them non-violently. How do you do that?
Open-ended questions. I message.
Yes, this is what I'm feeling. I'm feeling this. Then open-ended question, what do you think? Simple thing. Simple thing. And that formula works. It doesn't always bring you to an agreement, but at least the other person will hear you without feeling offended. Because you present it respectfully. I'm feeling this. And I may be wrong. My senses are imperfect. I may be wrong, but this is what I'm feeling. What do you think? Can you help me deal with this feeling? Essentially, you're asking. So that's a far more enlightened way to do it. If we do that, we avoid offenses. If we avoid offenses, we'll be able to follow the regulator principles. Follow the regulator principles, we can go back to Godhead. Parampadam. Okay, all right? Yeah. When we fight, we make Krishna very unhappy. Make the spiritual masters very unhappy. Anything else? If we observe these little etiquettes, the society of devotees becomes very sweet. Everybody has loving feelings for everybody else, and it's very attractive to people.
Srila Prabhupada's foot was always washed by milk.
Sorry?
Srila Prabhupada's feet was always washed by milk.
Srila Prabhupada's feet were washed by milk.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yes. Yes, this is an appropriate way to treat a respected person. Wash their feet with water, with milk, other substances, yes. So we can greeting saintly persons like this is appropriate. However, in a sense, a higher principle is to understand what is the impact of that going to be on our local culture. So amongst people who are cultured in the tradition, they can recognize and appreciate that. For a newcomer, an outsider, to see that could be, whoa, what is that? So, Hare Krishna, this is a question that often comes up. Do we observe their tradition, or do we consider the impact of what we do on others? Right? Milk is pure, and the feet are pure, and washing them is an expression of respect. But what is a newcomer going to think? What is a person who's not born and raised in a Vedic tradition? What are they going to think? We have to consider that. So balancing it is good. We don't necessarily make advancement by just getting more into the rituals and the details. We actually make advancement by making Krishna consciousness relevant to a greater number of people, despite what some traditionalists might insist. It was not Srila Prabhupada's move. Srila Prabhupada inaugurated deity worship by inviting all the hippies, once the Jagannath deities were installed in San Francisco. He said, okay, so our puja program is this. Whoever comes to the temple can offer one candle to the deities. No Brahmins, no... He said, just start with that. You see how brilliant Prabhupada was. He made it relevant. He could have said, okay, only certain people can offer to the deities. But in time, he began to raise the standard. So do we make advancement by raising the standard even more, or do we make advancement by doing what Prabhupada did and making it relevant to the majority of people around us? That's harder. It's a lot easier to follow rules and regulations. And then the more you know the regulations, the more you can lord it over people who don't know them. See, like the yogic Brahmins. They had no time for Krishna's friends. We are very busy with our rituals. Go away. But the wives, oh, Krishna's friends. They want food for Krishna, where is Krishna? Let's take everything immediately. So we don't make advancement by more rules. That's my point. Anything else? We're fasting today, right? Okay.
I have a question related to when you were talking about talk to person who you have problem with. Sometimes I find that, for example, if I have some problem with
achieve well, Prabhu. And I think I don't like, for example, he's always on my face with camera. I don't like that. So
You express that? Are you getting this?
so, but I will not express this because I'm afraid that if I will tell him that
Huh.
and I've observed him, he might take advantage of what I'm feeling. Oh, he doesn't like it. Then if he's angry at me, he's doing the same thing again and again. So
Okay. So, what was the methodology that I suggested? You have this feeling. What do you do?
stop with the person.
How would you say it?
You did this.
Okay, there we go. That's a you message. When you take a picture of me, I feel uncomfortable. That's an I message. I'm feeling uncomfortable about your habits with the camera. And then what's the next step?
What are your thoughts?
Yes. Yes. If you try that, it shows respect. If we just say, you're doing this and I don't like it, that shows disrespect, right? But if we say, I have this feeling, when you bring the camera on, what are your thoughts? So if you've informed them, informed this other person, the other person was going to do what they're going to do. But at least you have expressed your feelings, which will help them subside, and then you'll also be a gentleman. You won't feel bad about the way you won't feel like, now I started a fight. Right? It's respect. You can't control what the other person may or may not do, but generally, if we deal with people respectfully, they'll deal with us respectfully in return. Generally, right? There will always be exceptions. We want to see if you're a counselor, and we're all counselors in Krishna consciousness. Counselors, one of the first things they learn is you model the behavior you want to see in your counselee. Whatever it is you would like them to do, you do. So if you ask them, so what are your thoughts? So they will often respond with, okay, I want to understand your feelings. Because you're modeling, you're not modeling, I can say, if we go in with the guns blazing, you're doing this, then they're going to reciprocate, well, you're doing this. And they might be inspired to do things like be in your face more often. If, oh, good, this bothers Sartak, and I don't like Sartak. Let me get in this. You see? Okay, so you have to know all the steps of the method. Okay, anything else? Do you have a license for that? Anything else? Since we're over time, but I guess it's okay.
So, Prabhu, when is it okay to not express your feelings and just patiently wait until everything slows down, and then you may not want to go and talk about it because you are not bothered anymore by it. Is it the right approach, or is there
It can be. If we feel we need to do something about it, this is the thing to do. But see, very often because we want to avoid the difficult conversation, we'll just let the feelings fester and hope they go away. If they actually go away, then good. But if we keep thinking about them for a couple of days even. See, remember we were talking about when we get angry, there's a 90-second burst of adrenaline, and then it goes away. But if we think about the thing that made us angry over and over and over again, then the adrenaline keeps coming over and over again. See, so we re-experience the suffering for no good reason. So if that's happening, then we need to express those feelings. But just express them in a respectful way. This is denial to think, okay, I don't like these feelings, maybe they'll go away. But they don't go away, then we have to express them. But if they do, if it's a small thing, very often just tolerating, okay. You don't have to always express on the spot. Sometimes it's reasonable to wait. But if we wait a little bit and they're still there, then we have to express them. What happens otherwise, if we repress our feelings, they just build up. And it's said that depression, anyone ever experienced depression? So depression is unexpressed anger. If we don't give voice to the anger in a proper way, out of fear, or out of intimidation, or for any reason, it just ultimately makes us unhappy. So it's like cleaning the house. We have to clean the heart. And understanding Vaishnava dealings is how we can do that. I was speaking with a young man recently who was saying he liked Krishna consciousness, but he just wanted to stay by himself because he preferred to be by himself. But then at the same time, he was having difficulty in his Krishna consciousness. So I said, I know relationships are hard, but this is how you can deal with this unhappiness. You need to be around devotees. And devotees are generally very merciful, generally, but because we're human beings, there's conflicts. So to be afraid of a conflict and therefore not follow the process, it will mean that we can't make advancement. What are these most important facets of devotional service that Lord Chaitanya advocated?
Association.
Association of devotees,
Living
living in a holy place, chanting the holy name. I guess there's a fifth, isn't there? Yeah, deity worship. Chanting the holy name and hearing Srimad Bhagavatam. Yeah. Okay. All right, so we've heard enough Srimad Bhagavatam. Thank you. Lord Varahadev is the deliverer of devotees in difficult situations, so it's very good to pray to him today, whatever our difficulties may be. All right. Okay. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.